Hello and welcome to interest.co.nz. I'm Gareth Vaughan with another in our series of double shot interviews, without the double shot today, but I'm joined by Bruce Cotterill, the Chief Executive Officer of Yellow Pages Group. Thanks for coming in, Bruce, and welcome to interest.co.nz. Look, you've obviously had a very big year, busy year. There's been a sales process that's been going on behind the scenes. That's over. The business hasn't been sold. What was the shake-up from that? I mean, what was the underlying reasons why, in the end, the business wasn't sold?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. Firstly, it's it's absolutely hasn't been the right time in the economic cycle to sell a business of any kind that relies on advertising revenue as its main source of income. And if you look back at the global financial market meltdown, what happened to advertising spend around the world on the back of that? Advertising spend in 2009 was something like 25% down on 2007. And so you've got a perception about the global advertising revenue market that wasn't strong enough to support a sale. And I think you've also got all the other financial market matters, stability of earnings questions, multiples on what is the right multiple for businesses to be sold on in this environment and so on. And just not enough certainty around the entire economic picture. And add to that the fact that Yellow Pages companies around the world, a large number of them had been sold by their previous owners, typically telecoms companies similar to ours. They had been sold, and many of those had been distressed before we came along. And there's probably a view in the market that people should take a wait and see before plunging back in. So I think a variety of all of those factors meant that whilst we had some people expressing interest in the business, the interest they were expressing wasn't at a level that gave the banking syndicate the comfort to pursue any of those any further. So the outtake of that is that we're now a company. Interestingly enough, we still manage to pay all the interest on our senior debt on time. We're a stable, profitable company, but we're a company that is essentially going to go through a restructure of sorts to make sure that we end up with a debt package more appropriate to the business we've got and the marketplace we're in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a very well publicised sale by Telecom to what's now Unitas Capital and the Teachers Private Equity, the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan from Canada. There was 1.5 billion, I think, of debt in the 2.2 billion deal at the time. Obviously, high water mark of the leveraged buyouts, private equity buyouts. I mean, obviously, no business is worth what it was worth then now. All values have come down. Yellow Pages are no different in that front.
Sure.
So, obviously, you've got a lot of debt in there. Now, I mean, obviously, the talk has been restructuring the balance sheet somehow, the capital structure. What's happening to all that debt now, and how many banks are actually left in there now?
The original banking syndicate was 28. 28 banks involved in the senior syndicate when the deal was first done in 2007. Subsequent to that, over time, some banks have sold down their debt positions, either in whole or in part. And so we now have, I think, something in the order of the mid-30s, 35 or 36 banks in the syndicate, and all at varying degrees. We have people with a $5 million position, and we have people with a $100 million position. So that's a structure in terms of the bank syndicate. What will happen now is the syndicate is working its way through a process whereby they are attempting to come to an agreement on an appropriate level of debt to leave the business with, and then when the time is right, they will put in place a new structure and a new deal. So the company will go forward with a smaller amount of debt or a lesser amount of debt, and the remaining debt, in particular the second and third tier debt, but also, I suspect, an element of the senior debt will be written off. Okay,
so the banks will effectively crystallise a loss at some point, and any idea of what sort of magnitude that will be at this stage?
No, it's probably premature. There are discussions going on now on two fronts. One of those is what is the fair value of the business today, and the other discussion is what is the appropriate level of debt to attach to the business given its earnings in the foreseeable future. And so those are discussions that are live, being held amongst the banks, and we become party to them from time to time as there's anything to report. But principally, it's a decision for the banks to take.
And look, you haven't actually released your financial results for the year to June yet, sure. but I'm sure that you've seen them, you know what they are. Can you tell us about how the business performed in the year to June, especially on an earnings or EBITDA basis,
sure.
and what your outlook is for the new financial year that we're in now?
Sure. No, we haven't released our results. The principal reason for that rolls around the audit process has to have, as you would know, some clarity around going concern, and so getting the restructure completed is a critical part of that. But yeah, we had a forecast target for the year of $150 million of EBITDA. We finished the year just on $155 million of EBITDA, and which was a pretty pleasing result given the marketplace that we've been in. In terms of the forward outlook, we think it will dip on that this year, and we think the main reason for that is if you look at what happened when the economic crisis first hit, a number of the mainstream media, if you like, television, newspaper, they got hit very hard very early by a reduction in advertising spend, and we didn't experience a hit of that scale. We've had a minor 5% drop off in advertising spend. And I think the main reason for that is our marketplace tends to primarily be the small to medium-sized business. So they don't have a big corporate marketing department sitting there saying, gosh, this is a recession, let's cut costs. Those people are more likely to cut costs when they're feeling the pinch, when they don't have another job coming. And I spoke to a swimming pool guy, for instance, one of our clients who's a swimming pool builder, and he said, a year ago when you guys talked to me, I had 12 pools on the go. This year I've got none. And so the role for the Yellow Pages company in those circumstances is to help him adapt his advertising to get work in other areas, be it landscaping, be it pool maintenance, pool repairs, etc., etc. And so our marketplace, I think, has been hit by the crisis much later, and we're seeing now, October 2010, you're seeing quite a lot of commentary in the newspaper around, companies not paying bills, banks writing off large quantities of bad debts and small to medium enterprise. So that stuff's just hitting now. So I think we've got a dip in the year to 2011. We'll have an advertising revenue dip, and then I think we'll start to see some recovery in the year 2012, probably back up to the levels that we've been this year.
Okay. You've announced, since the end of the sales process, you've announced a $40 million capital expenditure program. You're going to be revamping your digital platform. Is this, I guess, a couple of things here. Is this an acknowledgement that the company's online presence up till now perhaps hasn't been up to scratch, and also an acknowledgement of a structural change that's going on with people shifting from the traditional phone books onto the internet?
Look, I think it's all of that and a whole lot more. First and foremost, the print publications, the Yellow Pages, the White Pages, which everybody's familiar with, the usage of those publications by customers calling advertisers or by people looking for numbers to call people is still very, very strong. There's 1.3 million people every week using the Yellow Pages, 1.5 million people every week using the White Pages. So the usage of the book products is still very strong, and it's important for us to continue to build that, to innovate around that, and we're doing a whole lot of interesting things in the print sector. But in addition to that, you're absolutely right. The online world is the future of search, and over time we have to be better and better and better at that. I think it's fair to say that our online platform is something that was developed in 2005 through to 2007. Telecom realised that in order to have a successful sale, they had to at least have a digital strategy, and that strategy was I think probably adequate for the time, but flawed in a whole lot of ways. And when you live in a world with companies such as Yahoo and Google and Microsoft and all of those others constantly investing hundreds of millions of dollars in online search, it becomes a very expensive proposition for companies such as ours to be able to invest in search in a way to keep up. So the reinvestment that we're talking about at the moment there's about $30 million of it as a technology investment. $10 million has been an investment in additional people. But that technology investment is about getting our technology platforms into today's space, and I think people will find once we announce and roll out the the new strategy, pardon me, they will see that that part of our strategy there is to roll out platforms that are very easily able to stay with the marketplace requirements in terms of latest search thinking, online, mobile, etc., etc.
Look, I mean, one of the big questions a lot of people have as this type of business moves online is what is the future of it up against the likes of Google?
Well, I think there's a number of things in there as well. Firstly, as I said, there's a lot of people still using print, and reports of print's decline, I think, are probably in some cases misinformed, but in many cases just way too early. I absolutely believe that the print directory space has a useful life way beyond probably my working life. The usage levels, the ages of people, the demographics of people that you see continuing to use print, I just feel very strongly that will continue to be a part of our business. It will gradually decline, but it will continue to be a critical part of our business. The online opportunity is enormous. We have the best business database in New Zealand, but it's a very different opportunity to what we've been able to pursue in the past. So if you think about our business, we are very good at name, address, telephone number, Dr. Plumber. That is not the search experience that people are looking for in the future. In the future, people want to know that information, but they also want to know where you are, how I get there, where do I park, what range of products you stock, what else could it be, what do I do if I buy something from you and it breaks down, what's your after sales service approach, if you're a business to business operator, who's the decision maker, how do I contact that person, etc., etc. So first and foremost around our future online strategy is to make sure we continue to build our content way beyond the name, address, telephone number that has historically been our patch. The Google question that you raise, I actually think we need Google and Google need us. If you go and do a typical Google search, in many, many cases, you'll get a yellow solution. Google are not a developer of content. They're an organiser of it, but they're not a developer of that content. And what Yellow do is we develop, and we will continue to do, is develop the content, grow the content, enrich it, present it in a way that works for our advertisers to make sure it drives inquiry through to our advertisers, because that's what we're there for. And Google is one of the mechanisms that people will use to find that information. But Google does not create the information and hold it in its own right. So I think companies like Google and companies like us actually need each other to give the user the sort of search experience they need.
And in terms of online, what percentage of your revenue would you get from online now, and where would you like to see that grow to in, say, the next 2 to 3 years? Well,
currently our online revenues are about 15% of our total revenues, and we have a target for it to be 30% of our revenues in 5 years.
Okay. Are you confident of getting there?
Oh yeah, absolutely.